Sometimes all it takes to be remembered is one game.
30 years of playing and coaching and administrating in hockey, I've really never seen anything like it.
The Lockport Express is a first-year junior hockey team, and for Dylan Hayes, this season will be his last. At age 20, he's in his final year of eligibility.
And it's been a blast, and obviously I'm creating some good memories that I'm going to remember forever.
Dylan started playing hockey when he was 6.
You know, every time I would score, he would be the person I'd point to.
And from day one, his father, Tim, was his biggest fan.
It is our favorite song that we listen to no matter what, when he was, like, in the car or when he was, you know, in the hospital bed. He would always want to listen to our song, and that's Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls.
You're the closest to heaven that I'll ever be.
In May of 2013, Tim was diagnosed with end-stage liver disease. He needed a transplant and a heart valve replacement. Somehow, some way, he survived the operation. Tim was discharged from the hospital this past July, and over the next 7 months, he had his good days and bad days, until one day, in late January, Tim was with his youngest son, Austin, when he went into cardiac arrest. On the morning of the 31st, Tim Hayes died at the age of 52.
We were high school sweethearts, so I've known this man. This year would have been our 25th anniversary. It kind of left a hole that was hard to imagine. How am I gonna, how am I gonna be a mom and a dad? That lays very heavy on me because you just can't replace a dad.
News of Tim's death traveled from family to friends, including Dylan's hockey coach, Frank Vecchio.
When I walked in the emergency room where Tim was, just so happened to be the room my dad passed away in 2 years ago. So it was a pretty emotional afternoon. Tim was my best friend. That night, just hours after Dylan's father passed away, Lockport had a game against rival Rochester. And so Dylan had a choice to make: sit out or suit up. Obviously, I told him it wasn't necessary. He didn't have to play. It's just a hockey game.
So I told Coach, I was like, Coach, I'm playing tonight.
His response to me was that his dad told him he was going to be at the game Saturday night anyway, and he wanted to go play for his dad. And just looking up in the stands, and I'm just thinking, he's really not here. We decided that it was going to be Dylan's night, so we let him pick the starting lineup. I put my headphones on, and I walked outside. So I put on our song, Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls. I was just like, Dad, please be there with me tonight. Please be there with me tonight. He scored the first goal of the game. He scored about 5 minutes in. I just pointed right up. I was just like, I know that was you. So then they scored before the end of the first to make it 1-1. They scored again in the second period to make it 2-1, all the way to a minute left in the third period. And I'm like looking up at Coach thinking, give me a nod, let me get out there. I'll give it everything I got, let me get out there. One thing you have to understand is Dylan's been a third-line guy for us all year. Normal circumstances with a minute to go down the goal, he normally isn't on the ice. It's usually somebody from our top 2 lines that's on. So a minute left, he gives me a tap on the back, Hayes, go. So I took a shot from like the top of the circle, and just somehow, some way, I just slowly trickled over the line. And like once I seen it trickle over the line, I was just like, oh my God. We went to overtime, killed off a 4-on-3 penalty, goes to a shootout. Got to the 5th round, and I'm thinking like, this is my chance. Like, if I score, we win.
And I don't want the world to see me,
On the evening of his father's death, Dylan Hayes scored 3 goals, including the game winner.
There was a higher being, and I know that his dad was his little angel that night.
I never had that feeling of someone actually being there for me. Like, I know my dad was that night.
A night, a game, a reason to believe. Jonah Javad, Channel 2 Sports.